Hey guys, it's Megan. Welcome back to my home library. Today we're going to talk about all the books I read in June and July because I really want to film a fall TBR, and I was like, darn it, I can't film a fall one until I do a summer wrap up. So yes, it's only 2 months worth, but like I'm really in the fall mood and I want to start doing fall books. So I thought I would do this little short review just very quickly because I think there's like 19 books on here. Honestly, I read a lot of books this summer. I am a school librarian, so I am off during the summer, so I've had a lot of time these last 2 months. Not necessarily physical reading time because I do have a 3-year-old and a lot of other stuff to do, but I have a lot of audiobook listening time, that sort of stuff. Also, drink of the video is our limoncello or limoncello. I don't know how to say this word. Limoncello? I don't know. Anyway, the LaCroix. Wonderful. I'm almost done with it. I do need to go get me a coffee though, but I just brushed my teeth and I was like, I can't have coffee and brush my teeth. Like I can't. I just, ew, gross. Anyway, so here are the books I have read. I honestly could not remember the star ratings that I gave to these. Oh yeah, I gave this one, I need to refresh this page. Okay, there we go. I had to refresh because there were some books I had forgotten to rate. What I did is I thought I would do this as like a screen recording, as you can see, because I forgot what ratings I gave these and I'm not keeping track of my ratings this year. So we're just going to kind of go through, see what I read, see what my favorites are. There are no 5 stars on here, so that's really sad, but I think there's definitely some 4 stars. So the first book I finished, we're going to go with books I finished. So we'll count how many at the end and see how many this is, but I think it's like 19. The first book I finished was A Murderous Relation by Veronica Speedwell. No, not by. What? It's the Veronica Speedwell series. It's by Deanna Raybourn. I'm sorry. I'm also really tired. And I did give this a 4 star. Compared to the rest of the series, it's not my favorite, like at all. It might even be my least favorite. Book 3 was also not as good. But just compared to like other books, it's still 4 stars. So there's that. I am going to continue the series, but I feel like it's not going quite the direction I wanted to based on the ending of that book, but we'll see. Anyway, then I read Dream Factory for a video. That was my reading book set at theme parks video, which I can link down below, but this was the last one I think I read. There might be one more on here, maybe. No, actually, no, that was the last one I read. The rest of them I read before school was out. And this book by Brad, it was, 2 authors. I don't know who the other author was, but there's another author. And this book I gave 3.5. I actually gave 3.5 to this one, I remember. And no, I gave 3. No, I lied. It was 3. And it was set at Disney World, which I liked. But it just, the writing was really good. I liked that, but I just didn't care about the plot, of course, because it's like a teenage romance / realistic fiction. Then I counted this one as a book I read because I had listened to 8 hours of the audiobook, which was a long time. This book was super long. It was The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington, which I heard him pronounce his name, and he says Islington. I know some people say Islington, but I listened to him pronounce his own name. This is the first of the like Canius trilogy, and I was so excited because I wanted to find a high epic fantasy series that is good. I love Game of Thrones, but I cannot seem to find anything else I like. I DNF all of them. So this one I had high hopes for because everybody talks about it and everybody says they do get better because I think this was his first book. And I am going to try The Will of the Many by this author, but I wound up DNFing it at 35% in. I said there's no redeeming qualities that I could hold on to. The plot, the world building, the prose, the characters, there was really nothing interesting anywhere. But like I said, I listened to 8 hours of it, which was actually 35% of the book. But if I put that much time in, like I'm putting it on my books I read list. I'm sorry. At this point, I'm calling that one read. Then I got into my like weird era where I started to listen to weird books. Not just like weird, but I don't know, different sort of books like Killers of a Certain Age, I think was the first one, by Deanna Raybourn, also the author of the Veronica Speedwell series. And, well, actually, no, this is not the weird one. I was thinking The Husbands. That's when we get into the weird ones. Killers of a Certain Age was okay. It reminded me of Red, the movie with Bruce Willis and John Malkovich and a bunch of other people, which I love that movie. Highly recommend Red. Even Red 2 was really good. I actually missed that series. I wish they'd make another one. But this one, I think there's a sequel either coming out or it just came out. But I don't even think I'm going to read it. Like, it was fine, but honestly, I don't really remember anything about it. It was just a bunch of women who have to get back together that were, like, you know, contract assassins or whatever, and they're old now, and they have to go out on one last, like, heist, or not heist, but, like, one last mission because they're the target now. Somebody's out to get them. And it sounds cool, but honestly, I just go watch the movie Red, and I gave this one 3.5 stars. Then we have The Husbands. This is where things get weird, by Holly Gramazio. This was weird. I read it because Kayla from Books and Lala talked about it. I even did like a little short with a little rapid review of it. I gave it 4 stars, but I can see where not everybody would like this book. It is very repetitive. because this lady has all these husbands that keep coming down from her attic, and if she sends them back up and gets a new one, and she goes through hundreds of husbands, and it just keeps going, and you're like, will this ever end? How is she ever just going to pick one? But things escalate at the end to the point that it gets kind of ridiculous, but also really fun and crazy, which I actually really liked. But I wasn't super satisfied with the very, very ending, so that's, it is what it is. But I guess I still gave it 4 stars because I couldn't put it down. I read it so fast and I just really wanted to know what was going to happen. And why do I keep right clicking my mouse? I don't know. Next is Eruption by Michael Crichton. Boy, I wish I hadn't read this book and I wish I DNF'd it. It really should be a 1 star, but I saved 1 stars for DNFs. This wound up being 2 stars. It was bad. It was really bad. Just read Jurassic Park. Don't don't bother with this, or don't fool with this, I guess is what I was trying to say. Because yeah, it's nothing exciting. The volcano, I mean, let's just say that it's all just build up to the volcano. There's not much about the volcano itself. There's a lot of stuff going on, but then it feels like really nothing's happening, if that makes any sense. So I think I read a review of somebody saying that it was like James Patterson took all of Michael Crichton's notes about this book, ran it through ChatGPT, and this is what it spat back out. Yeah, that was pretty much my feeling too. The next was another weird one, which was The Ministry of Time, and I wound up giving this 3.5 stars. This was better than I expected, honestly, because, well, at first I thought it was going to be amazing. At first I thought it sounded like the TV show Loki, which I really like, and I thought it was going to be more sci-fi or more just like intense than it was. But then when I started reading it, I actually really liked it for what it was. I just didn't know what it was, but it is more of a slice of life, like here's what a daily life would be like for somebody who has time traveled to a whole new time period, to the present, to modern day, and has to learn about modern day stuff. And if he had a romance with the girl that is trying to teach him about that stuff. And it's very kind of mundane, but then at the end it gets very like action thriller-y, which I did like. I did wish there was more of that sprinkled throughout, but I kind of liked it. Actually, I wish I could have given it 4 stars. I don't know why I didn't, but I liked the writing. A lot of people don't, but I liked that there were some really weird metaphors and similes that are really out there. But I really enjoyed that. Then I read The Raven Boys from the Raven Cycle. Okay, this is a weird one because I originally DNF'd this book at 29% the first time, and that was April of 2023, I think it looks like. And then, so I DNF'd it. It was so bad. Then when I read it physically, I gave it 4.5 stars. Like, what? So I'm questioning now all the DNFs I've ever had. Like, should I have DNF'd these books? Maybe not, because if I tried them physically, I might like them better. So I really, really loved it. I'm sad, though, because, well, you'll see. I'll get to the sequels in a minute. I didn't think they were as good. But it's so weird. It was so, like, atmospheric, but even for the summertime, it was still good summer read because it's, like, set during the spring or, like, early summer. So, I don't know. I really, really liked it. And it is young adult, of course. Then, to everyone's surprise, I did not DNF and actually gave 3.5 stars to Shatter Me. Like, who am I, right? This was in another video I did as well about reading young adult books, and so was The Raven Boys. But a girl at school, she was a freshman last year, now she'll be a sophomore. She talked to me like every single day about books. She would come to the library every morning. She was my most frequent customer at the library. And she loved the Shatter Me series. It's what got her hooked into reading, and she said that I have to read this book. And I kept telling her all year, like, oh, maybe, because I didn't want to read it. I mean, this does not sound like a dystopian YA romance. Like, I don't want romance, I don't want YA, and I don't want dystopian. All those 3 things together sounded terrible. But finally, I thought, oh my gosh, I'll surprise her, and I'll read it this summer, and then, like, on day 1 when she walks into school next year, I'll say something from the book that she's like, whoa, what, you read it? So I've got to find something from the book to surprise her with. Hopefully she's not seen these videos. But I really liked the writing style. That's the only reason I gave it 3.5 stars. The writing was really unique. It was very lyrical and poetic, like almost to the point that there were too many weird metaphors or parallelism. There's a video, like in my other video, I show you the parallel sentence structure is outrageous. Like in one paragraph, there were 3 different examples of parallel structure where 3 sentences in a row are structured the same way. Then the next 3 sentences, then the next 3 sentences, and it's almost too much. It's like reading a poem or something. But I actually really enjoyed it, and I am going to try reading more from this author now. Try reading some of her other series. Now, The Raven Cycle Book 2, The Dream Thieves, I only gave 3.5 stars. In retrospect, it's probably more like a 3. I was not a huge fan. I reread Neverworld Wake. I gave it another 5 stars. It was great. One of my favorite, either this or I Hunt Killers. Probably this one is my favorite young adult book of all time from any genre. You'll just have to go listen to all my rants about it. I just wish the cover did a more accurate version of, sort of showing you what the book's really about, because I don't think that this is a very accurate portrayal. It looks like really sad, and it looks like realistic fiction, and it's really not any of those things. And then What Feast at Night, I wish I had not read. It was the second book in the little T. Kingfisher series called Sworn Soldier. I read the first one, What Moves the Dead, about a year ago. It was kind of a retelling of Fall of the House of Usher, which I really liked. But this one, it's like, where do you go from there? You've already retold Fall of the House of Usher. How could you have a sequel? It was unnecessary, and I said I didn't feel like this book needed to exist. It was fine. I always liked T. Kingfisher's writing, and the atmosphere was really cool, but nothing really happened except what was in the plot synopsis. That's true. If you read the plot synopsis, it's the entire book, so just don't read that. But 2.5 stars. Would not recommend. Then I read Meddling Kids by Edgar Quintero. I need to do a rapid review of this one because I do have a lot of thoughts, but I read this in my little 24-hour readathon video, most of it anyway, and I gave it 3.5 stars. I think if I'd read it physically, I would have given it 4 stars. So there's that. So I did actually really enjoy it. It's like Scooby-Doo, but for adults that grew up with Scooby-Doo, but also throw in some H.P. Lovecraft. That's what this book is. I mean, there's really nothing else to say. The only thing I didn't really like, I mean, I loved all that, obviously. The only thing I didn't like is it was really slow to get started. It spent a long time on, like, the character building and their backstories and them coming together. And, I don't know, out of this kind of book, that's not what I wanted. I mean, I like that the author tried to give us all that character stuff. I guess that's good. But I just didn't care about the characters enough to spend that long doing character building stuff. Next, I read Blue Lily, Lily Blue, the third book in the Raven Cycle, which I am hesitant to read the fourth book now because I did not like 2 and 3 as much. In fact, they were both kind of more like 3 stars for me. Blue Lily, Lily Blue, I gave 3 stars. I think if I was reading these books physically, I would enjoy them more because I could pay more attention. I was listening to them very, very fast, which is probably not very good, like 2 times speed. So I think I kind of missed some stuff. But I am going to read book 4 so that I can finish it because it is a 4-book series. And it's beloved. People absolutely love the series, which I get because book 1 was really, really good, but I just have not enjoyed the other 2 as much. And then I read Daughter of the Siren Queen because it is the sequel to Daughter of the Pirate King. I really like Daughter of the Pirate King. I think I did give it 3.5 stars, and it looks like I gave the sequel 3.5 stars. They're just fun. If you want a book like Jack Sparrow, but from a female, like, teenage point of view, that's what this is. And it's really fun to see the inner workings of her mind because it's like, you know, Jack Sparrow had good intentions, but a lot of times you had no idea what his actual plan was. What was he really, you know, doing? But this book has the main character, you know, you can see what she's doing and you see those thought processes, and it's really cool. So I really enjoyed it. What I did not know is that it is a duology. I thought it was a trilogy because I knew there was a 3rd book. So I thought I had to continue. So guess what? Then I continued to the 3rd one, which it turns out is about a side character. You don't really have to have read. I mean, if you read the other 2, you at least know who the characters are in this one, but I guess technically, like, the storyline has nothing to do with the other 2 books. So, Vengeance of the Pirate Queen follows one of the side characters from the other stories, and I made it to 76% of this book and DNF'd it. So that's why I counted it as one I had read, but I said that it's so sad since I liked books 1 and 2 a fair amount, but this book did not need to exist. It's not a sequel, it's a standalone about a side character from the original duology, and that's all there is to say about it. It's just not really exciting at all. It's like the 5th pirate movie. It didn't need to exist. The plot's just ridiculous. Nothing in it's really super original, and didn't really care about the characters. So there we go. Okay, then I think we're getting close to being done. Then because I read this recently, How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying. Boy, do I have mixed feelings about this book. I wanted to love this book so badly because it is ridiculous. It's like the tone of Deadpool. That's it. Like, the main character is like Deadpool, basically. I mean, the plot is nothing like that, obviously. But it's like high fantasy, right? Where they're in this fantasy world and she has to try to fight the Dark Lord, but there's this time loop, which I love time loops, and every time she dies, she wakes up and has to do it again until one day she decides that she's gonna kill the Dark Lord, not kill him because it's like there's a convention for finding a new one. But anyway, she is gonna become the Dark Lord. Here's the thing. I loved the writing style and the humor. Like I said, it's very Deadpool. Loved it. There's a lot of like little references to modern pop culture, which I actually really liked. There's little footnotes, which I really liked. But the thing was, I didn't care about the plot. Oh my gosh, and it was so long. It was so long. I couldn't even tell you how long this audiobook was, but it was really, really long. And I did not care about the plot itself, which is sad because there was just a bunch of random stuff happening. Honestly, if you asked me to tell you everything that happened in the middle of the book, I couldn't. I was probably not paying attention some of the time, granted, but it just wasn't very interesting. Love the writing. Don't know if I'll continue the series. People would have to say that the plot is really good for me to continue the series. Okay, I think we only have a couple left. The next I just finished this one the other day, the Dallergut Dream Department Store, which is a translation. So this book's actually been out for a while, but it just recently got translated into English. I think it was originally written in Korean. Anyway, I gave it 3.5 stars. This is not at all what I expected. First of all, I thought it was middle grade. It's not. It is very kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say childlike, but I mean kind of, but it's definitely for adults. But it doesn't have like big, like major adult like content or anything in it. But this book reminded me of the book The Alchemist, which is one of my favorite books of all time ever. This is similar to that. I used to teach The Alchemist actually when I taught 10th grade English. It's similar to that because it's like, it teaches you like lessons and it's really wholesome and it just makes you feel good. And it kind of, I don't know, makes you realize things about dreams that you, or even about your own life that you might not think about on a daily basis. But there was no plot, just so you know. There's no conflict. There's no conflict. I think there were like 10 chapters, and every chapter is basically a little story about a person who comes to get a dream from this dream selling place, and they learn kind of a lesson or something like that basically out of it. So you see some characters repeated, obviously, like the main characters that work at the dream store, but that's about it. Like there's not really a conflict or any sort of plot. It's just little one-off, almost like little short stories that all just happen to take place at the same place. I did not know that going into it, but I still enjoyed it. I gave it 3.5 stars. And the final book, the one, sorry, I'm still getting over being sick. I've coughed for 9 weeks now. Anyway, Finley Donovan Rolls the Dice. So the good news is that this book was better than the last two probably put together. So this is book 4 of the Finley Donovan series. I loved book 1. I gave it 4.5 stars. The more I think about book 1, the more I really, really want to reread it, because I actually might give it 4.5 stars on reread. And then books 2 and 3, did not like very much. No. I think I actually really didn't like book 2. I think I actually liked book 3 a little better, which most people I feel like are the opposite. A lot of people are talking about just DNFing the whole series because the same plot has continued for so long. I mean, you cannot just pick up one of these and read it. It's the same kind of like conflict, the same bad guy in the entire series. So I'm ready to be done with this plot too, but I think it is. I think this plot is pretty much over. And then I think there's going to be kind of a newer plot in book 5, which the series is going to continue. There is going to be a book 5. Who knows? They might go on forever. But this one, they go on a road trip, and it was really fun. Some of the situations they get into are ridiculous, and one of them made me laugh like out loud because it was so perfect. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, it's kind of genius. So I wound up giving this one 4 stars. It was very, very enjoyable. I do highly recommend it. Is it worth continuing on if you didn't like books 2 and 3? Yes. But if you love book 1, I don't know. Books 2 and 3 are not great. So take with that what you will. But anyway, so I've read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I've read 19 books this summer, and the summer's not even over yet because today's August 2nd. So that is pretty exciting for me. I don't think I've ever read 19 books in 2 months before. Like that's like a lot. I think the most I've ever read, well, I think I have read 10 books in a month before, but usually it's like 8 books a month. But anyway, let me know down below if you liked any of these books, what your thoughts are, and I will be seeing you very soon with my August TBR. I'm so excited for fall. I've already got it made because if I keep adding books to it, I should probably cut down on a few because there are too many. Anyway, I will talk to you guys again soon. Bye.